Did you know that an Indian engineer working remotely from a US-based company recently faced racism, discrimination, and eventually isolation from his own workplace? His experience shared on social media has sparked a much-needed conversation about the growing hostility towards Indian professionals working abroad. Particularly, we are talking about the Western countries. Despite reporting the racist behavior to his company's human resources department, instead of addressing his concern, the company simply logged him out of his account, effectively forcing him to resign. Now, this incident is not an isolated case, and that's the sad part. But it reflects a larger issue. Indian professionals facing bias, discrimination, and workplace hostility while working overseas. The engineer who recounted his ordeal on Reddit mentioned that he had accepted the job offer due to financial struggles at home. However, there was clear warning signals from the very beginning. The hiring process seemed really rushed, with company offering him a position after just one interview and even granting him access to company's account before he had formally signed the contract. During his second interview, things took a very unpleasant turn when he pointed out flaws in the company's website, expecting constructive feedback. Instead, the recruiters became really defensive and made a very racist remark. They asked him, "So what are you guys doing out there in India? Scamming and shit?" Shocked, the engineer immediately called out the offensive statement. But you know what? The recruiter brushed it aside, setting the tone for a toxic work environment. After joining the company, the discrimination also escalated. The recruiter mocked his appearance, making personal comments like, "What are your future plans? When you've lost all your hair and are not attractive." Let me tell you, another incident took place when the engineer faced a technical issue. His laptop crashed while working on an assigned project, causing a minor delay. Though he apologized and quickly completed the task, but the recruiter lashed at him, calling him a scammer and adding, "You people always do this. Indians can't be trusted with tasks." The engineer was extremely humiliated and stunned. Instead of treating it as a very simple workplace issue, the recruiter had stereotyped him based on his nationality, reinforcing the growing anti-India sentiment in the Western workplaces. Determined to defend his dignity, the engineer decided to report the recruiter's behavior to HR. He was simply hoping for some intervention. However, instead of addressing his complaint, the HR silently logged him out of his company's account, making it impossible for him to work. With no response from the HR or his product manager, it became really clear that the company had already decided to seize him out without any explanation. When he formally resigned, the product manager even mocked him on WhatsApp, reacting with laughter and calling his resignation cute. Now, this complete lack of professionalism and accountability further proved how deeply racism was embedded in the company's culture. You know what? This particular incident highlights a much bigger problem: the increasing workplace discrimination that Indian professionals face abroad. Indians, particularly in tech-related jobs, are often targeted because they dominate fields like IT, software engineering, and data science. In recent years, there has been rising hostility in countries like the US, the UK, and Canada towards Indian workers, with allegations that they are taking away jobs from the locals. Now, the rise of anti-immigrant policy and the growing sentiment against foreign workers has created an environment where racism against Indians is either ignored or openly tolerated. You know, one of the biggest reasons Indian professionals are struggling to fight back against such discrimination is fear of retaliation. Many employees choose not to report workplace racism because they fear losing their job or being blacklisted in the entire industry. This silence emboldens racist employers and creates a culture of unchecked discrimination. There has been numerous reports of Indian professionals being passed over for promotions, paid less than their foreign counterparts, or even being fired without any explanation. So, in the end, the biggest question now is, what can Indian professionals do to protect themselves? Let me help you with that. So the first step is to know your legal rights in the country where you are working. Most foreign nations have strict workplace discrimination law, and employees who face racism should document incident and seek legal assistance if necessary. Instead of staying silent, Indian professionals must challenge workplace discrimination head-on, whether it should be through any internal HR complaint or external legal action. Another important step is to raise awareness. Speaking out about workplace discrimination, sharing experiences online, and calling out companies that engage in such behavior helps build pressure for a change. Seeking support from Indian professional network abroad can also provide guidance, mentorship, and legal resources. After that, the Indian government must also step up its role in protecting its skilled professionals abroad. While India actively ensures the safety and rights of its own citizens, specifically in the Gulf country, it is time for the Ministry of External Affairs to take a stronger stance against workplace racism in foreign countries. Just as China and Japan ensures their citizens receive fair treatment, India should demand the same for its citizens working abroad. Now, if such incidents continue unchecked, Indian professionals will face increasing barriers in global workplaces. Rather than accepting racism as part of a job, Indians must fight back against discrimination, demand equal treatment, and ensure that they are not silenced. This is not just one engineer's personal battle. It's a wake-up call for the entire Indian workforce abroad. The time has come to take a stand, raise your voices, and demand for a change.